Hello everybody, welcome to Khatri 3D. So let's begin sculpting the T-Rex. So I have this primitive sphere which is a basic sphere, and this is my UI and I'm using my own hotkeys. If you haven't seen my previous video which I have shown how to set the hotkeys and custom UI, please do watch it. And I have also provided the UI and hotkeys file on that video. The link is in the description. So the fundamentals of sculpting, what I usually do, for example, gather a reference, and after gathering the reference, for example, if I open pure ref, this is a pure ref application. It's free and it's very useful for gathering the references, so you could use it like I do. So please check out and download this app, it is very useful. So this is my own render and I have used the concept art of Matt Dixon, amazing artist. So the fundamentals of sculpting is that always try to find big shapes. Okay, always try to find big shape, whatever concept you have, either it's your concept or the concept you are using. And what I mean is, for example, I have this T-Rex render. Okay, what are the big shapes, primary shapes? It's easier to train your eyes to forget about the details first, and let's focus about the primary shape first. For example, the primary big shapes I can see are this jaw. Okay, this jaw is coming here and it is ending it here. I can see this primary shape. Okay, and if we hover this epic pen, the another shape is its is second jaw. Okay, which is starting and ending it here. Okay, I am not counting the teeth. Teeth are something I usually add later. I am only trying to find the big shapes. Okay, not the eyes, not the teeth, or the third big shape I can see is its neck. And this is how I block out this T-Rex at first. Now you would need multiple references. These are the three big shapes I can see. You can say the tongue is primary shape, of course it is, but it is small, so let's add it too. So I have also gathered the real life T-Rex skull, so I can use the move brush and match proportions with it. For example, here is the T-Rex skull from side view and here is the T-Rex skull from top view. So I can now understand that I have to use the move brush to widen its jaw and move this part to inner side. So these references are very important. You are a 3D artist, so only matching the one side is not enough for you. For example, this is the original concept I want to sculpt, but I will gather the real life reference tool, which is this T-Rex or any other. This is a T-Rex from a Jurassic Park movie. So let's switch back to ZBrush. Now that we have the concept here in pure ref, we can use the what I do is I use move brush at first. So press hit 4 on your keyboard if you are using my hotkey to switch to move brush, and I will just use the move brush and match the shape of this skull. Okay, I will use the move brush and just match the overall upper jaw. For example, it is wider from this side and it is this side. Okay, I am trying to match the reference, and like this skull, for example, it is from top. The T-Rex head would look like this. Okay, and here I will just use move brush and try to. Now that while using the move brush, I often use trim dynamic to flat out the surface. You can also use edge polish, and what it helps that to sculpt the cavities at first really helps a lot. So using the clay brush, I will just indicate a eye marker, and using the dam standard, I will just indicate uh, the cavity for the nose. And while I have marked this cavity, I can now tell ZBrush that I have to use the Now for the jaw, okay, I'm marking it with the clay brush. Just gently we have to make a cavity, a hole. Okay, now match it like this. Use the move brush and match it like this. Just you have to use the clay brush to smooth it out to indicate this wide area. Okay, now match it like this. Use the move brush, and here it is eye, and here it is the end of the first jaw. So I will match it like this. Don't worry how it looks like. It always looks ugly until it doesn't look ugly. This is my foolproof theory to not get demotivated. Okay, use the move brush to just gently match it, and here is the cavity, and here is the bottom jaw line. So this I call the gaps. Okay, fill the gaps, fill the gaps, and fill the gaps until you reach your uh, for example concept. Okay, now I will use the inflate brush, inflate it from here. Okay, and just inflate it here, smooth brush, and just use move brush. The topology is really low at this point. Okay, don't worry the topology. I'm not using any dynamesh or using any kind of remeshing method. Okay, now it's time to add the second primary shape. The sooner you add all these shapes, the better for you to understand. So for this I can append. Okay, you can go to subtool and append it from here. But I will press W on my keyboard and just hold control and duplicate this piece. Okay, and if you press shift F, you can see the polygroups are same. So hitting the auto groups from here, you can also go to polygroups and auto group from there. Polygroups and auto group from here. Okay, auto groups. So I can switch between this by holding control and tapping on my canvas. Okay, now I have to match this inner, the bottom jaw. Okay, I will completely smooth it. Okay, completely smooth this part, and just try to match it. Just having concentrate on your sculpt, move it up here, and pressing W, holding alt. Okay, holding alt you can move your gizmo. If you don't hold alt, you will not you will move your mesh. Okay, open it like this, and you just have to go messy. Okay, don't worry about keeping your shape straight, just worry about piecing all the pieces together. Okay, holding all the pieces together, and here I can see. Okay, now this gum which is in pink, I will add it separately so I could paint it more good. I need to just look around and fix this part. Okay, so I will use the topology is very stretchy. The more the stretchy topology is, the more I can use the move brush more proper. Okay, so at this point, as you can see, I'm only using move brush and clay brushes. Okay, now I have to add another piece, but before that I will explain you something. So this is a tip for you that for example, if you're working for any render or concept, this trick really works that you can save the viewport. Okay, to save the viewport, go to document and go to Z app link properties and click on custom one, which is cust one. And now the amazing thing is I have saved this viewport. So if I rotate it and I want to go back to the previous view, cam view, I can just go to document and press cust one and it will place me to the original viewport which I saved. And the reason I'm doing this, I usually do this most of my time when I sculpt for the concept purpose or the render purpose, which is this. So I don't have to uh, switch back to any other view and mess up the view, because the original concept was T-Rex was opening his mouth on this direction and I need to save the exact direction so I could use the move brush or sculpt accordingly. So this tip, it works for me, this feature works for me very well. And you can also save the views and load the views. So after adding this cam view, you could save this view by pressing the view save view and T-Rex blockout, okay, save. So you could, whenever you launch the ZBrush again, you could click on load views and load that file again, and after loading the file you will see the option of this cust one, which will be glow in blue or which will glow in yellow. So this is how you can save the viewport. So I needed to do that because I need to sculpt in this position. Now there are multiple things which I want to fix at this moment, and as I told you, block out the primary shapes first. So here I can see the neck is the big part of this sculpt. So I will add a primitive. Now you can do this the append way or primitive, you can click and drag. So if you press B and M on your keyboard, or sorry, if you press B, you would see here primitive, which are this primitives. You can click and you could just select any of these spheres. All right, for example I will select this one. Okay, after selecting it, if you click and drag anywhere on your model, you can just click and drag and accordingly, but don't, after dragging out, don't go reverse, otherwise it will mess the size. So I will try to add it like this, and I will press W and match the overall T-Rex shape. Okay, I will just use the move brush and just match this T-Rex head. Okay, now as you can see, after adding the multiple files, our T-Rex is trying to shape up a little bit. Okay, as you see, I haven't sculpted any details yet, but you can see that it looks like a dinosaur, at least not, if not the T-Rex. So this is what I wanted to explain. Block out the primary shape first so you could judge and move use your move brush accordingly. So the eyes of the T-Rex go inwards quite a bit. Okay, and jaw comes out a little bit. Okay, and this is the benefit of having us using a skull reference. You can see where to use and how to use your move brush. So here it would be slightly. Okay, and for the jaw, okay, for the jaw we can see it here, it's quite similar like the bottom part, but here it is quite wide. Okay, but it is wider from here. Okay, you could use also the move topology brush, which is B M and move topology, which is here. Move topology does is that if you use the move brush and in this circle, if you use the move brush, your whole mesh would get effective. But the move topology, which is the shortcut I'm using, alt 4, I have set the shortcuts. If you click on one part, which is for example turn polyframe on, and these polyframes are different meshes. So if you use the move topology brush on this mesh, this other mesh won't get affected, just like this. Okay, just like this is move topology. But if you use the move brush, it will affect all the meshes which comes inside this circle. So I use move topology on my blockout most of the time, so I don't have to use much again. Now that I have this blockout ready, it is time for me to, I think I should add dynamesh. I should dynamesh my skull, and for that I will go to geometry, and I will go to dynamesh, and 128 resolution is quite high for me. I will choose 64, and I will select the group option, so it individually dynamesh all the parts which is have different groups. If I don't choose groups, it will merge all the parts, but I don't want to merge it yet. I want to keep them separate, so I will hit dynamesh and it will dynamesh all separately. So if you press shift, if you hold control shift, you can hide, and you can see these meshes I haven't been merged together. Okay, it is control shift and click to hide and visible, and control shift drag to control shift to tap to visible all these subtools. So I have dynamesh having 64 resolution, and I will just smooth this part and smooth this part and just carve out the jaw using the clay tubes brush gently, and try to match the shape of this T-Rex skull. Okay, it is going from here to here. So use move brush and do your best to match the concept. Okay, here it is like this, here it is like this, and it is angular on this side. Okay, it is angular on this side, and now I will use the topology brush and just try to match this shape. Okay, now what I did on my Ariel sculpt was that I broke the symmetry for the neck. I used the move brush and just slightly back it that way, and I used inflate. uh, you can use the inflate, or you can use the magnify brush. The magnify brush is also useful, and just it magnifies the shape. The inflate brush does inflate it, sometimes it makes the shape, but the magnify brush is very useful if you want to keep the shape and just make it bigger. Okay, I will use the trim edge polish brush here, or you could also use the trim dynamic brush and sculpt it here. Now I'm just using the sculpt brush. Now this is a problem. Okay, this happens when the mesh is too thin, so you have to use the back face mask. Go to your brush palette and go to auto masking, and here would you see back face mask. Turn it on, so it won't it is very useful. So before this we sculpt it here and it messes this direction, but turning this back face mask the unlimited amount of strokes you make it here, it won't affect the other side. So it is very useful. I have made it a shortcut here, so you could make it use this feature accordingly. So as you can see, this part is thinner, and on my original sculpt it was. Sometimes it is harder to talk while sculpting because I have to concentrate it all the time. So in order to add the fourth part, which is this tongue, I will use this another, I'm a primitive brush, and this time use this sphere 32. Okay, I will just click and drag and just use the gizmo and move, use the move brush, just use the move brush and mesh this shape, the tongue shape. So always care about the primary shape and primary form. No matter how good your secondary shapes are or details you put into it, your sculpt will won't look good unless the primary shapes are okay. So it is going in a curved direction, which is this, and which is this, and which is this. Now I will again re-dynamesh it while having the group options on, and use the standard brush. Now I want to merge these two parts together. Okay, they have all have separate subtools. So if I press Control Shift and click and click, and I will invert it by holding the Control Shift and just clicking and drag, and it will invert it. Now if I press Control W on my keyboard, it will be a same polygroup, and now I will dynamesh again, and it will merge this both parts. It didn't merge all the parts because I am having this group option on, so I could be more precise with it. Okay, I'm using the move brush. I need to make this part quite thin. Okay, and make this. I will slightly lower the subdivision because I think 64 is quite high for me at the moment. I'm having difficulties. Okay, so this goes here, and I will use the standard brush to carve out this bony landmark. Standard brush to carve out this bony landmark, and here it is three arrows, three spike you can say, and I will just carve it like this. This is the bigger one, the center is the bigger one. Okay, and we can fix this shape later, but the sooner you have your all the shapes, the more it would work. So eyes is here and his nostril is here, and it has the quite variety of gap in it, but it has not. So if I use the move brush like this, and it is quite curved here, and if I slightly use clay brush and move standard brush here, I will use this move brush to make it fix the skull. Okay, fix the skull is the most important thing, and here you could see use the clay brush. So it is all about trial and error, and use move brush, clay brush, ten brush, and just try to match the shape unless it starts to look good. This is my theory of sculpting. Do not worry about will it good look good in the end. Of course it would good look. You just have to keep believing yourself, and the moment you reach where your sculpt will look really good, it will give you motivation. So having the motivation is very important, and sometime you fail miserably and just quit it. Don't quit it. Human brain is functional to learn everything. I don't have any traditional sculpting background, and people say to me that you need to learn drawing or traditional sculpting in order to get better in sculpting digitally, either is Blender or ZBrush. I say I used to ask this question whole my life. Okay, but sorry, not whole my life. The moment when I started learning 3D, I was asking this bunch of question to the professionals, and they always used to answer me like, will practice daily, or don't do a 1 hour sculpt daily. What I what I believe is that sculpting 1 hour is important, of course, but do that after you learn the fundamentals at least, because if it is your first day, so speed sculpting 1 hour won't do you any good. Of course, practice and watch lots of tutorials, see how other artists work, and so this is how the primary shape is supposed to look like. Just trial and error. Now I want to separate this tongue, because in my original sculpt I did separated it, and for this several reasons, and believe me, it is worth it to separate the tongue, because you really need to paint the tongue really differently, so it helps during the painting stage and also in detailing. So to switch between the subtool, to split them, for example, you have multiple subtools, you have multiple meshes in the same subtool, because this is a single subtool. Okay, all the meshes are together in the single subtool, so you can split it in several ways. Either you can mask them, which is tab W to bring out the gizmo, and hold control and just tap click on this tongue, and it will be, this tongue will be unmasked, and the whole other subtools will be masked. So go to subtool and click on split, and split unmasked points. I have this on my shortcut. Click split unmasked point, and it will marks the unmasked part. Okay, what I was having was this tongue was unmasked and other subtool were marked, so I clicked on this split unmasked, so it splitted the tongue because it was unmasked. So that way now I can just hold alt and tap, and I can switch between these subtools. Now we have two subtools, so we have now different subtools, and now I can do as I please with this tongue subtool. I can just use move brush without using the move topology, and let me bring up the reference, and I can just use move brush and match the design of the tongue properly. And now that perspective is on, now dynamic perspective is something you need to switch on most of the time. What I do is the default perspective is usually 50. If you go to draw, and you would see this 50 camera focal length, I turn it to 85. 85 is something okay. 50 is too much focal length for me. It's personal preference, do as you please. and now I have turned the perspective on. I try to switch it on and switch it off, but for now we are in the stage that we need to pick perspective on, because most of the 3D other software use perspective. So turning this perspective on usually helps a lot of time. So we can see it here, this area is quite in, so we will use standard brush and try to. Now to switch back to subtools, you can hold alt and click to switch between subtools, or you can click it here. Okay, and now I will turn this eye socket a little bit. Okay, I will smooth it out and a little bit. Okay, and I will switch to clay brush and just make it a hole and use the move brush to just indicate it. Okay, now that I'm kind of liking it, now I will, for example, merge the neck too. Okay, I will merge the neck too by dynameshing. Now the groups are on, and we will turn these groups off. You can go to geometry and dynamesh, turn group off and dynamesh it. Okay, it is now merged. Okay, now I don't usually sculpt in dynamesh. I sculpt in ZBrush mesh. So what I will do is ZBrush it. I will go to geometry. We are in geometry. Go to ZBrusher and hit ZBrusher by keeping it 5 polygon. Let's see how much it is. Now that make sure your symmetry is off. Okay, undo it, a symmetry off, and remesh it again. Okay, if you press shift F and you can see the topology, this topology is quite good. I can use the move brush as I see please, and the shapes are in my control. Okay, now I will control D to give it a subdivision level 2, and I try to add some kind of indication that this is a jaw. Okay, this is a jaw. I will use the clay brush to carve it in like this. Okay, okay, and I will use clay brush over here. So we are getting there. I'm kinda liking the shapes. Okay, and I will add clay here. Okay, you can also use the standard brush, just gently push it to indicate that this is a jaw. Okay, anatomy is very important. Okay, the anatomy is very important. I usually go switch between references and see the skull is in the right place or not. Here the scale is completely off, and I can just make it my own concept. The concept has a thin jaw. Okay, I'm not going for a anatomical correct T-Rex. I'm going for a my reference T-Rex. Okay, so here it is a thin jaw and here it is a wide jaw, but I will go for a thin jaw because we need to think about the design at some stage. Anatomy is not always the first priority. Okay, it is a first priority when you are blocking out, but if the shapes are looking good, you can switch between your own concept. This is important to learn. Okay, don't just be a slave to your reference. You are a 3D artist, you can do as you see please. Okay, then now I will add gums. Okay, because we are here to block out the old stages. Now what I do is this is a gap. Okay, I cannot add this primitive. Okay, because we have given it a Z remesher. It doesn't work because if you choose primitive brush and choose any of the subtools and click it drag, it will say that this mesh of yours has subdivision levels on. So what I will do is do append we can go and append it here by clicking it, append, and I will choose a sphere. I will move it aside. I will click it here and append a sphere. Okay, now I will switch the jaw, and I will just scale it. Okay, and I will move it here, scale it again, and what I will do is mirror and weld. And mirror and weld something is very a good feature. It just mirror and weld your any subtool. For example, if you want to mirror the other subject, it works from left to right. Okay, it doesn't work from right to left. So whatever mesh you want trying to mirror it, you can use this feature, but make sure your mesh is always on the left position. Here if you see my UI, you will see I have made a shortcut of mirror and weld. If you don't know it, you can go to topology, go to geometry, modify topology, and mirror and weld. You can see this option here. I have made a shortcut here, so I will mirror and weld it, and you can see now the mesh is between both sides. I will turn the symmetry on, and I will try to match this, the shape of this purple jaw. I keep gum separate. Okay, I always keep gum separate because they are easier to paint. I will use the move brush here and just use edge polish. The shortcuts I am using, the link is in the description. Download it. It is thin, so I will inflate it quite a bit. You can see in deformation, the inflate is here. Go to deformation, and here you will see all the sliders inflate. I just deflated it. Okay, I've made a shortcut here. Okay, now I just need to match this shape over there. After appending all the parts together, you can just fix all the parts and try to match the shape. This is something is very useful if you block out all the parts all at once before jumping into the details, because it helps you focus more on your shape rather than the details first. Okay, now I can see the jaw is quite in here. At first I wasn't able to see it, but now I can see it because I've added the jaw part. So I will switch between this subtool by alt clicking it, and I will just try to go to solo mode, and I will just make it deep. Go out of solo mode, and I will just try to match this. Okay, alt click it, and again use move brush and just match the shape. Okay, just match the shape, switch between subtools, use move brush a lot until the design you are happy with the design. Okay, if you're not happy with the design, use move brush again and again and again and again until you are satisfied with the design completely. I will just use the standard brush, carve it in, and make this indication that I will need to use the details here in future. Okay, I will use the edge polish brush here to flatten this side. I will add details later. I will use the standard brush to. Okay, now here I have made a mistake. I have turned the symmetry off because we were remeshing it. Okay, I will turn the symmetry on again and use this indication as I said, and edge polish here. Always see your symmetry, because sometimes when you disable symmetry for some reason, you forget to turn it on and you have messed a lot of work sculpting and detailing this side, and this side is left. So make sure always turn your symmetry on, or have just keep an eye on it all the time. Now all the meshes are quite coming together. Now the gums and teeth are left, but before that I need to see there's something I need to there's something I'm not liking it. Okay, and what is that? Let's see what is that. This jaw here need to be more. Okay, and here I would like to add more clay, smooth it out, add more clay gently with your mouse pen, add more clay and switch it out. Okay, because the neck always attaches to the head. The neck always attaches to the head like a gently soft. Okay, what I was trying to say that I'm liking all the shape, but I think the head is quite small for me. So what I will do is I will scale all the subtools together. You cannot scale the all subtools together by default. uh, there is not an option here. Okay, you would need to switch between them, hit W, scale that, go to tongue, hit to scale that. Okay, and but there is another shortcut which I use it most of the time is go to Z plugin. Okay, dock it here, and these are all the ZBrush plugin accepted by ZBrush Pixologic, and they are here by default. Okay, and the most used is transpose master. People use it to pose the mesh. Okay, what it does that it picks all your subtools and merge it into one, and you can do as you please. You can scale it, you can move it, use any brush you would like. Okay, I will hit this T-pose mesh and it calculates it and it merges all the subtool together. If you go to subtool palette, it is a T-pose, or it merges all the subtool together. But what was I was trying to say is that I didn't like the scale of this head. I need to make it a little big like this. Okay, now I need to separate all the subtools. So what we do is T-pose subtools. It will divide all the subtools which were before. Okay, before we hit the T-pose mesh. Okay, now you would see that all the T-pose are together, and it has applied the scale. Okay, now it is just the matter of fixing or adding all the parts together. Okay, all the parts together. I will turn the backspace marks on and just fill it here. Okay, and carve it here because we would want to give it a gum later. Okay, now teeth and gums are left for this part, and we can do is append the sphere and just use move brush and just match it with this shape. But I will tell you another option which I use sometime, and I often use it for the clothing purpose or anything. Extract button. Okay, the extract feature is very good. You just mark this area by holding control and marks it like this. Sometimes it's work perfectly, but sometimes you need a workaround of it. It mainly used for the costume purposes most of the time. Okay, I will use the marks brush and marks it like this. Okay, now go to your tool palette and you would see here extract. Okay, now click it, extract. It will extract and give it a preview of 0.02 thickness, but before that sharpen the mouse by holding the control and click it. Okay, it will de-sharpen it. Control Z, control alt, hold control alt and click it to sharpen it. Okay, after it gets sharpened, we will hit extract and it will extract this mesh. Okay, and hit accept it, or you could make the thickness smaller. Okay, let's see if I accept it. Okay, I have accepted it. I will switch to the subtool, clear the mask, go to here, and I will just use smooth brush to make it push inside. Okay, make it push inside. Now we have another subtool which was extracted by using this mask. So this extract feature is very useful. Now what I will do is try to make this gum go inner and just indicate that the T-Rex have gums. Using the standard brush to just push it out, and move brush. I'm switching between move brush and standard brush and clay brush. This is our primary brushes. This is my primary brushes and I used it almost all the time. Okay, now that we have added a gum, the gum looks pretty wide and thick, but we can always come and fix it. Okay, it was like this, hidden here and visible upper side. This stuff takes time and patience, and this was something I was not comfortable recording because this things get wide before I make it right. Okay, you can fast forward it. Okay, the upper gum is almost ready. You can always switch between it. Now I can do this again. Okay, I can just make alt click, switch it, and marks it again, then extract it. But what I will do is I will just duplicate it. Let's see. Now that we have added gums, it is quite looking like our concept here, which is this concept, and I'm quite, it is getting there slowly, as you see, slowly we are just using move brush and just trying to make it match the shape of this T-Rex, and to make it angry I'm using standard brush and just carve it deep, and it is, I think it is time to add the eyes. Okay, what I do eyes is as usual, I append it, add a sphere. Okay, and move it here, click in mirror and weld, of course, hit the symmetry on, and I just scale it down and move all the parts together. Okay, here it is eyes needs to be not quite so much big. Okay, because we would add to, we will add these eyebrows and all the stuff, the skin part. Okay, and we can just make it big and smaller, and I make eyes separate like all the subtools like gums and the jaw. Because of that, the tongue, because we can just switch between these subtools and scale it, move it as ever as we like. I have a tip for you. What you see in real life is separate. Always make separate in ZBrush. If teeth are a separate thing, make it a separate. If gums are separate, make it separate. The eyes are separate from a head. Okay, the eyeballs. Always make it separate. So you could work with it more easily. Okay, hit it and try to make the spike. Okay, we could always jump between the details. Okay, make sure you are hitting all at once, and this is something I have given a subdivision level 1, and I would like to just a little bit. Just like this. Okay, the gap between this jaw and this jaw is quite low, and the width of this quite low. So what we do is use the move brush, make it a big stroke, and just tap it down. Okay, and tap it down. We will switch between the eyeballs and use the move gizmo tool to move the eyes again a little bit down. Okay, this is how you block out the characters. Now for the teeth, what I would do is I will append another sphere and just duplicate it, make one shape and duplicate it. I will append this sphere. I will hold alt 1 to switch it and go to the solo mode. So the one I have selected, I can just cut. I will hit this symmetry. Oh, now I will see the shape of this tooth is quite. What I would do is I will hit Control Shift, okay, and go to brush and use the clip curve, okay, and I will click and hold drag, and it will give me this shape, okay, and use this clip curve brush is very useful for this shape. All I will use the move brush here and move brush here, and so it is not always about sculpting something. The tools which ZBrush provide are humongous. Okay, you could achieve the same result using multiple tools, and for that I need to get it to the shape of the tooth as fast as I can, and I just use the trim clip curve brush. Okay, I will hit W and just scale it and make it quite a tooth shape. Okay, this is how I created the tube. I will remesh it quickly, but no, sorry, I will not remesh it. I usually have my teeth in dynamesh. The reason is that there, for example, the reason for that is that I need to duplicate it, and if I zero mesh it and give it subdivision levels, I wouldn't be able to duplicate it because I would have to duplicate it in a complete jaw. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6. So what I do is I sculpt one teeth and duplicate the rest and just use the move brush to change their size. Okay, it's all about not working hard but working smartly. Okay, I will use the edge polish brush and just, let's see, 55, dynamesh it, and I will go out of the solo mode. Now that I have given this tooth a shape, I will need to duplicate it. First of all, turn off my symmetry so I can move it and duplicate it freely. And I just need to match this angle. We'll put it here and just duplicate it. Teeth are the most important thing in this T-Rex sculpt. So the more I put my time into teeth and refining it, it is better for me. As I am in dynamesh, it is quite hard for me to control the shape of the tooth. Okay, I will now switch to again 128 dynamesh and just use ash polish to try to give it a stylish look. Go to document and I will look at that viewport and see the scale of this tooth. It's quite use the gizmo tool to scale it like this to make it a sharp transaction and just move it this side. Okay, I will mirror the other side. I will tell you how to mirror it the other ways other than mirror and weld. So this is one tooth I have sculpted. Now I will duplicate it all the way around and use move brush. Duplicate and make it smaller and just match the shape of the design. Try to match the I will give it 54 again, 56 again, because I'm not liking the fact that these teeth have high topology and I cannot just use move brush and match the shape, because for me at the moment the shape of the tooth are very important and having it the high resolution just messes up my move brush. Using the move brush, okay, smooth it here, try to make it sharper like this. Now I will duplicate it and auto groups to give it multiple group levels. I think I just mess it up here. Okay, no worries, I will just select rect, go to solo mode. Here I will use click and drag and just smooth it out. Let's see, I will go to split them. Okay, split marks point. Okay, now we have two subtools and we will close holes. Okay, smooth it out, switch it to this and close holes. Okay, now what I will do is duplicate all these tooths and use move brush and try to change its position, try to use tender brush, try to bend it so all the teeth are does not look exactly like the previous one, because asymmetry is always the key to the successful render or successful painting or successful anything. and I'm just doing same thing again. That's why I have fast forwarded this process a lot. This whole teeth process took me like 45 minutes, but it was a very boring process, and I thought that I should fast forward this process and just I'm just repeating the same steps. I'm just duplicating the same tooth and trying to add a stroke or move using move brush and trying to change the shape of all the teeth a little bit, and trying to make them a separate design individually, each of them. So my main goal is to make all the tooths differently, and having varieties in your design is a key process. Now I will keep doing it until I do this process completely, and I will be back after some time when it is all complete. So after placing the teeth, now we can just see the picture how our T-Rex is looking like. Now we can just manipulate these teeth and sculpt as we see fit. For example, these teeth are 64 resolution dynamesh. So I will switch it to 128. Make sure my group is selected. Group was not selected. Make sure my groups are selected and just redynamesh it on 1 to 8. Okay, now I can just go around and smooth it, turn my symmetry on, and just smooth it and just sculpt on it. I'm not sculpting at the moment, I'm just blocking out all the shapes, and I don't keep my teeth on. I don't give my teeth subdivision levels because I needed to copy it, and during subdivision levels you cannot just copy paste it. ZBrush won't allow it. If you have multiple subdivision levels, you cannot just copy it. So now I will just use move brush and manage it, the tongue, try to match the shape. Okay, now I'm overall not happy with the head rotation. Okay, I will rotate this head a little bit. If I remember, when I was sculpting it, I did rotate his head. So as I did before, I will go to Z plugin and go to transpose master and click T post match, so all my subtools will be one placed. Okay, and now I will hit W and just rotate a little bit. Okay, just like this, and I will click on T post subdivision again, and it will separate my subtools with the post. It is a very helpful tip. Now all the parts are looking together, and it is quite good for a simple blockout. If I see his eye, he is not looking angry at the moment, and will make him angry like this. Okay, the trick to make it angry is his eyebrows. I will use the pinch brush and just pinch this part. Okay, and now I will just mesh the shapes until I am completely satisfied with it, and it is carve it a little bit. Okay, and our T-Rex is quite looking good at this early stage. Okay, this is the early stage, this is not a detailing stage. I am dividing this part. Okay, and now I will try to match the, he's going here and is going like a flow, and it is not going like a flow, as you can see. And I will try to make it going like a flow. I will try my best to match the shape as much as I want before I jump into more detailing stage. So first there is always primary shapes, then secondary shapes, then tertiary shapes, then details, skin details, etc, etc. We won't be going into super extra details because this is a stylized project, not ultra realistic project. These things, this is secondary shapes like this pore stuff, this shape. Okay, this is all secondary steps. I won't be sculpting in this video at the moment because video is already has gotten very long, and I think I need to vamp, I need to wrap here, at least for now. If I try to just indicate that this is a, this will be a piece of skin which hangs out. Okay, like this and like this and like this. I have made this mistake before, that the symmetry was off on my previous sculpt, but as you can see this is not symmetrical, at least not the neck, so I have turned disable the symmetry. This is quite the double the work, but asymmetrical post always looks better than the symmetrical pose. Now the question is, either this model is your for the game industry or for the 3D print. If it's for a 3D print, you can go around and make a asymmetrical model from the start, but for the game ready model, T-pose meshes are always accepted because we would need to be retopologize it, then the model would be used in games or for animations purpose, etc, etc. So I think I need to wrap up here a little bit, wrap up this video, and this is the blockout. Okay, this is the blockout I was talking about, and the more you spend time in the blockout, the more it is good for you. I will go to solo and I will stretch this part a little bit. Okay, this is, I think, dynamesh. I will give you subdivision model a little bit later. Okay, I will go out of the solo mode and I will remesh it by 5. Okay, and now it has a good topology. I'm kind of, this is kind of dense for me for the subdivision level 1. I will undo it and I will try with the 2 remesh. Okay, this is a tip for me, from me, that I will try one. Okay, this is good. This is a tip for me. If your remesher, if your first division level is quite dense, don't go with it. Always have your mesh with the lowest subdivision so you could use the move brush properly. Okay, now what are dynamesh and what are ZBrush brushes, what are ZBrush functions, you could see my first video of this course. I have explained it all. Okay, now this is it, folks, and this is the blockout of the T-Rex skull. We will be sculpting more. We will start sculpting in the next video because we have almost used 80% of the move brush in this video and appended some parts. So the point of this video was, the more you append all the parts together, the easier for you to see the picture. Okay, for example, don't go just around, block out the head and start sculpting on it. I have block out the head as well as edit the eyes, as well as edit the tongue, as well as edit the teeth and gums, so I could see the clear picture what my work is going to look like, and it gives me a little bit motivation. So my according to me, always block out your primary shapes first where you want to go, and after that go with your sculpt. Okay, so that's it. If you like my video, subscribe and share with your friends if they want to sculpt the T-Rex head, of course. And I will meet you on the next video. Take care all. Goodbye.